Welcome to episode 2 of Stale Popcorn, the movie podcast that gets between your teeth. I'm Bruce Ingram, movie reviewer for Sun Times Media Local, and with me is features managing editor Jennifer Thomas. And today we're going to be talking about abs. 6-packs, 8-packs, 12-packs, abs are everywhere in movies today, and we're wondering why.
I think you're wondering.
Yes.
More specifically, you mean male abs.
I believe that's correct. Yeah, and actually, what I'm wondering is where do they come from and why? And when are they going to go away? That's my question.
I mean, do they need to go away? Is that necessary?
Tell me more about that.
Tell us, though. I mean, this is something. How did this come to your attention? What's been going on with you and these abs?
Okay, well, I think it started to sneak up on me for a while back. But I was watching 300. It was, recently the sequel.
King of the Abs.
300, Rise of an Empire. It's just wall-to-wall abs. I mean, of course, it's a bunch of Spartans, etc.
Right.
They had the best personal trainers in the ancient world. That's understandable. Oh, yeah. But there are so many abs. There's so much of the abs thing going on here that a colleague of mine actually says he suspected that the abs were a computer-generated effect. Huh. Sort of like Pixar's the way they do, they make fur look realistically like it moves.
Right.
And I thought, maybe. It kind of makes sense. And if so, how can I get some of that in real life? But it just made me realize that it's something it's cropping up everywhere. I was thinking about when did this begin? I guess it goes back to the original 300 a few years back. Or, Matthew McConaughey was doing this, the pre-Academy Award, Matthew McConaughey was doing this sort of thing back in the day. Or you could really probably blame this, I think, on Taylor Lautner in Twilight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that there was a zeitgeist moment when he popped his top in Twilight. I was in a screening. It was like I was in a previous screening of Twilight. Now this was thrilling, I have to say. I was in a very large theater, jam-packed with women. I mean, I think, aside from me,
yes,
it was all women. They were hanging from the rafters, and they were grooving on this movie. They were loving this movie, and it was so exciting to be in that crowd of people who were really just digging this movie. But when he took his shirt off, there was just just like a huge group sigh. And I was like, yes, something for us, And, I think that maybe somebody took note. Or maybe there was just a cosmic shift or something. I don't know. But anyway, all of a sudden, abs are everywhere. And I can't help wondering, why. Well, to me, it's getting a little bit silly. I mean, have you noticed this at all? Am I dreaming? I see too many movies, I know, but
it's hard to say. I mean, I haven't actually been paying super close attention, believe it or not. I do think. I think 300 for sure. I mean, that's the movie people really talk about the abs. I mean, that's the one that I think it was just that overabundance where everyone was like, wait a second.
Well, yeah, you got guys in loincloths and long capes.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Right. And they're not hairy. That was the other thing.
They're manscaped.
Yes, which would seem really out of keeping with that time period.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. My thinking is that it became a big thing to get buff for a movie. Mm-hmm. And maybe that even...
Because of 300. Or somewhere around...
I don't know. Right. I'm not sure, how it started or why. But even, with Christian Bale, constantly gaining, losing weight for roles.
Right.
That now it's almost expected that you have to physically transform yourself for a role too. For a man, that is.
Well, he was like, you have to give him props. He was like the anti-abs guy for them. Christian Bale actually had a paunch in the movie.
In American Hustle.
Yeah, in American Hustle.
Yes.
Not to mention the comb over.
But, for Batman, then he went to
abs.
ultra beefy.
Right.
And so maybe it kind of got ushered in with the rise of the superhero movies and just the comic book movies in general. Because comic book guys always have the exaggerated muscles.
Right. Well, the thing that gets the thing that kind of bugs me about abs is they just seem silly and kind of pointless to me. I mean, I understand how a hero, a buff hero type guy, he needs some big pecs and some big shoulders. He's got to be able to lift things and throw things.
Right.
But what's he going to do with washboard abs? Aside from like play rhythm in a skiffle band or something like that. They're just kind of silly.
They're visually appealing, though. I think that's what it comes down to, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could ask the same question. What do big boobs have to do with anything?
Oh, well, that's entirely different. No.
I think it's that, yes, I mean, there does seem to be a race on to see just how big and muscly and abby these guys can get. That's a little bit maybe out of control.
Well, I want to talk about the boobage issue for sure in just a second, but the thing is, okay, this is not just a phenomenon that's isolated to action movies or superhero movies or even action movies. It's the thing is, it's sort of it's sort of spilled over onto everything. In all sorts of really strange movies. Anytime, not strange movies, but movies where you wouldn't expect it. Anytime there's an opportunity, the lead actor will take his shirt off and he'll have a ripped abdominal muscles. I mean, Jesus in the movie Son of God.
Oh man,
I'm in dangerous territory here. I know, but
no, it's just I was not aware he had abs.
The actor, he was ripped. He had nicely chiseled abs. Well, I'll take that back. They weren't chiseled. I mean, they weren't like an 8-pack or anything, but they were there. And
sure.
And they're not there by accident. That's the thing.
No.
It's become a thing. If you're an actor in a movie today, you've got to be prepared for this. It's not an expectation. You're going to have to take off your shirt. You have to pop that top, and they'd better be there. People are expecting it, unless you're Seth Rogen or something like that.
Yeah, it is a little bit jarring sometimes. I mean, so in The Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio had his shirt off a lot.
Right.
And he does not have six-pack abs.
No.
He's very much a normal dude chest.
And I think you mentioned that he was up for an award.
Yes, for the
this.
best topless scene from the MTV Movie Awards, and going up against Thor and Jennifer Aniston, and I'm like, really?
This is slightly suspicious.
Yeah, and I mean, and I find that kind of cool about him. That he has a more, normal guy body.
Okay.
In certain roles it would have made sense for him to have abs, but in a lot it wouldn't. Mm. I mean, in Wolf of Wall Street, I mean, he was not, you didn't see him hitting the gym all the time. He was just doing drugs all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, he just had a heart attack and died.
Right.
But you're right. Look, I fear we're getting into a tangent here, but you're right. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's kind of getting in the way. I'm thinking, as I mentioned, I just saw Godzilla. We won't get into that, but the male lead, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think is his name. He was the guy who was in Kick-Ass.
Yes.
He was the young guy that becomes a superhero. He's like a nerdy, skinny sort of guy. Okay, well,
cute.
In Godzilla, he's buffed out.
Oh, really?
I mean, he's got shoulders. He's beefed up.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it doesn't really suit him. It doesn't look entirely natural on him. It kept pulling me out of it. I kept thinking, what? Suddenly you're hero of the beach? I don't get it. What happened for this sort of thing?
But I think, too, is this just catching up with the expectation that has been around for actresses for forever? But I'm just wondering,
no, you're
it's
right.
very rare. I mean, certainly there are actresses that don't have perfect bodies, but they're so rare that people actually comment on them on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Such as?
Well, you have Lena Dunham from Girls. You have Mindy Kaling on the Mindy Project. Mm-hmm. You have Melissa McCarthy, of course, who's making money hand over fist. I mean, she's, the biggest thing around right now.
But isn't she kind of a babe? I sort of looked at her from a distance. I never really
Melissa
noticed.
McCarthy? Well, I think she's attractive, but she's a large woman.
Oh, that? Okay. I was confusing her with somebody else.
Okay. I was like, well, yes,
No,
very
absolutely.
attractive. I mean, they're all attractive women,
Right.
and they're all funny, and they're all doing crazy success, but their bodies are a constant topic. Maybe not Melissa McCarthy so much, I don't think, but definitely the other two, and I'm sure there are more. So it's kind of and then women who aren't really curvy or called curvy because maybe they're not a stick figure. So I think it's I don't know when that took off for
Seems like
male
it's fairly
actors.
recent. And I think I was thinking of
Yeah.
Jenny McCarthy, by the way.
Yes, well, that's their cousin. They're cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
They're both
Okay.
from Chicago. Sure.
Okay. So, yeah, but I mean, that's a fairly recent thing. But you're totally, absolutely right. And again, maybe we should table this just for a second, but we have to go there because this is the point, really. But it is getting to be a sort of a distracting thing. And also a little silly. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
Zac Efron. We were, he was Zac Efron in that sitcom that came and went, romantic comedy thing that came and went a few months ago called That Awkward Moment or something. He takes his shirt off and perfectly chiseled abs,
Wow.
looking ripped.
And him, never in a million years would that have occurred to me that he would be ripped.
Yeah, well,
under.
it's fine that he is.
Because he doesn't
but,
have the face for that.
Well, yeah, and plus it's a little beside the point. I mean, okay, now, yeah, and so, the obviously response is, it's a little beside the point for every actress on the planet to have to take her shirt off and show,
Sure.
Right, okay, absolutely granted. And we're talking about the same thing here. But maybe it just sort of casts a light on the fact that the whole business is a little bit strange.
I do think, I think it's become, for me, it's distracting when the physical reality doesn't match up with what they're supposed to be portraying in a movie.
Yes.
Like you said, if you're a superhero or, something, of course you're going to be, totally ripped, abs here, there, everywhere. But if you're playing sort of this dopey guy in a romantic comedy and, or just playing a normal guy.
Yeah, or even, even if you're a player, it just... Why take your shirt off? I mean, it just seems a little weird. Maybe it seems weird because guys have just never had to do that before.
Yeah, and I mean, there's certain movies that, of course, it's going to be called for, and what you're talking
integral
about.
To the plot.
Yes, like Magic Mike. I mean,
yes,
if they'd all wearing their shirts, we'd say, "What's going on here?"
Absolutely. Although no, absolutely. I was about to say I don't know if strippers back in that time were that buff, but yeah, I suppose they were. So yeah, and plus Channing Tatum did that for a while, right? Okay, so so fair enough.
Or even Twilight, of course. I mean, it's the whole point of those books and movies is to be a romantic fantasy kind of thing, and for a lot of women, I mean, I'm speaking for us all here. I don't know. Shoulders, abs, chest, those are attractive male body parts for whatever reason. So that's what they're going to show you, Nobody wants to see some guy's chicken hairy legs.
Okay.
No. So, but yeah, it is distracting when it doesn't fit the movie. I'm not going to believe some sad sap guy who then pulls his shirt off and has a six-pack. But I guess I've become so used to seeing that with women that don't always match up with the parts they're supposed to play either.
Right. So it works if it's part of the package or something for
Yeah, I mean, there's certain movies where, of course, they would be, if the character is very vain or, not that you have to be vain to work out. But
Right.
it's just... I find with it if it goes with the story, and I think you need, like, a little bit of romance in there, fitting the story. I mean, there's always that scene, right, where the guy gets injured, and he always gets injured, like, on his pecs or his abs.
Oh, yeah.
And then the woman has to, like, tape him up.
Yes, okay.
But that's part of it.
Okay.
There's your romance in there.
I think there's your sex in there.
No.
It
Really? Doesn't usually turn into that right then.
Okay.
It's more like, oh, look at this.
Okay.
I have a reason for taking your shirt off and touching you. But not quite yet.
No, I think what we're getting to, really, is the gratuitous nature of all this stuff.
Yeah. To me, it's the equivalent of what I've seen for years of the the woman must take a shower.
Right. Well, in horror movies.
No, but even in mainstream, I mean, if you would look at the number of times women take showers in movies,
you're absolutely right,
for no reason whatsoever.
Yes.
I mean, you don't, for the most part, show someone going to the bathroom.
Well, it's happening more and more too.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like, there's so many scenes where a woman has to take a shower. And it's just weird.
I always thought it was just because you want to be very clean. Women want to be very clean at all times.
So it's a little strange, because that's very gratuitous in terms of, the shower scenes 99% of the time have nothing whatsoever to do with...
Right.
I'm actually okay with them in horror movies.
Well, exactly. Because,
I mean, obviously Psycho is the gold standard, but there is something very vulnerable about being in a shower, being naked...
Well, that's
and having
true.
Like a man with a hatchet.
And I think that's what it was all about. And speaking of suggestion, Psycho said, that vulnerability thing. But now it's just
it's like
bring on the ogling moment.
Yeah, it's like,
exactly.
So.
And it's understood when you go into a certain type of horror movie, you're gonna get a little violence, you're gonna get a little sex. It's gonna involve a little topless nudity from the actress and the scream queen.
Right, that's the deal.
Yeah, so that doesn't take you out. It doesn't take you out of the scenario.
It's part of the stand. Yeah. That has rules, and I appreciate movies that break the rules, but at the same time, you're okay with a movie where it makes sense.
Right. Well, just like in 300, you're not surprised, everybody. I mean, they're walking around in loincloths and capes. I mean, it's kind of nice that they don't have paunches.
Yeah.
But if it takes you out, if you start thinking, what? What? Man, Zac Efron has been hitting the gym.
Yeah.
Then that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know.
That's true.